And good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Runts BBQ. It's 3003 West Muskogee Avenue on this Thanksgiving week of celebration. And the Muskogee Renfrew football team has plenty to celebrate because, Travis, at the first of the year, if somebody had told you you would be playing in the state semifinals, you would have said, I'll take it right now and no questions asked.
No, there's no doubt about that. We won a PDF every year. And I say PDF, PDT, practice during Thanksgiving. And so, no, early in the year, that's one of your goals, obviously, is we've talked about that before, to basically make the playoffs and then win your district and then go after the gold ball. So we're here in the semifinals, and we are excited about it, Bill, and there's nothing I'd rather be doing on Thanksgiving week than practicing football and getting ready to play a football game.
Well, certainly the pairings have proven that the year-long ratings have pretty much been right on tap. You've got Stillwater number 1, Choctaw number 2, Deer Creek number 3, and the Muskogee Renfrews number 4. Mm-hmm. And ironically, those are the 4 teams in the semifinals.
That's good. And if you as things started shaping up when we get through that Game 7 this year, you kind of saw that shaping and taking place. There's some question marks, and everybody's got to do their duty. And everybody was able to do that, and they're in quarterfinal games, and here we are, top 4 going after each other.
41-3, the combined record between the 3 schools. Each of the 3 teams, Deer Creek, Muskogee, and Choctaw, with the 1 loss. Stillwater still the only unbeaten team at 6A2. Your opponent this Friday night, though, is a team that you know a little bit about because the Ruffers and the Choctaw Yellow Jackets have met face-to-face the last 4 years.
Yeah, I wasn't a part of the first 2, but the last 2 we have been, and they've been good football games. One on the road at Choctaw, and obviously the one last year here at home in a 49-32 loss to the Yellow Jackets. So,
but now a lot of people questioned why Ada, why the 6A2 playoffs, the semifinals. One of them goes to Ponca City, one of them goes to Ada, and yeah, it's not. I mean, there's an old joke that there's no roads lead to Ada. They lead from Ada. Well, having gone to school there and been a part of that community, it's a football town, much like Muskogee, that's for certain. But what people have to realize is on a Thanksgiving week, not all the schools want to open their doors and give you opportunities to play. And given who's playing at 6A1, the Tulsa area locations were limited.
Yeah, and that's always – it's kind of like making any other evaluation. If you're not in the house or seeing it or not on that team, you don't know for a fact what all goes down. So it's always a little easier said than done because, as you said, for that, there's some stuff that you do early in the year from a particular schools that if they want to host a game, then they fill out forms. If they don't fill that out, they're not even considered.
Right.
And there's so many things that go into, as you well know, working a game. Your announcers, your workers, and da-da-da-da. And all those come from that home school. So sometimes during that Thanksgiving break, that's a little tough to find, obviously. So some people choose not to.
But for football teams, whether you're playing in the middle of I-40 about halfway down the road or you're playing in a cow pasture, to be playing for the state semifinals with the opportunity to play for the big gold ball, tell me where. Just turn on the lights. Let's go.
There's no doubt about that, and that's been our approach as coaches and everything like that. We're going to make that little complaint early, like we should, and then after that, we're going to take what's given to us and see if we can go take advantage of it.
Well, certainly should be an exciting Friday night there at Coyisto Stadium. You have to practice up on your Chickasaw language, Coach, on pronunciation of the stadium name, but it is the home of the East Central University Tigers, who are kind of capitalizing on that free recruiting opportunity by having not only the 6A2 semifinals but also the 4A semifinals being played there on Friday afternoon. We're going to take a quick break, though, come back and give a guy a chance to kind of redeem himself or for us to apologize to him. And I'm going to start that off when we come back after the timeout. Bill Huddleston along with Travis Hill. Defensive coordinator Steve Craver joins us in the next segment as we continue the Muskogee Renfrew Football Coaches Show live from Runts BBQ.
In times of need, it's comforting to see faces of people you know and trust. Cornerstone Funeral Home in Muskogee cherishes the opportunity to be there for you and your family in life's most challenging times when friends are most important. Cornerstone Funeral Home and Crematory welcomes the opportunity to answer any questions regarding planning and pre-arrangements for you and your loved ones. Experience the difference. Cornerstone Funeral Home, 1830 North York in Muskogee, where you'll find faces you know and reputations you trust.
Whether you're shopping for a new Chevrolet or want to trade and get paid, power up! It's the Supercharged Sales Event at J. Hodge Chevrolet in Muskogee. You know what up to $1,500 more for your trade means? Supercharged savings. Shop more new Chevy. Inventory arriving daily. Don't overpay. Come see Jay. Get a trade-in bonus up to $1,500 when you buy now. Supercharged savings powered by J. Hodge Chevrolet in Muskogee. 144 West Shawnee.
Stop by your local Bravado Wireless store to discover our current plans and promotions.
Well, dude, I didn't see anything.
We're Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection.
Pioneer Abstract, proudly serving residential and commercial customers throughout Muskogee County since 1905. Serving banks, mortgage companies, and mortgage brokers with refinancing, purchase, 1031 tax-deferred exchanges, along with full escrow services and more. Pioneer Abstract offers the convenience of centralized services for escrow accounts, title insurance, and title searches. Pioneer Abstract, here yesterday, here today, and here tomorrow at 412 West Broadway in downtown Muskogee, or call Pioneer Abstract at 683-2904.
And welcome back to Runts BBQ here on this Tuesday before Thanksgiving Day celebration and the Tuesday before the Friday night celebration as the Muskogee Roughers move into the 6A2 football playoffs against the Choctaw Yellow Jackets Friday 7 o'clock there on the campus of East Central University in Ada. In this segment, though, each week, Coach, we bring a member of your staff.
Yep.
And I'll start this whole thing off with a, I won't call it a tongue-in-cheek, but with a hand – reached out hand here of apology because last week I gave Steve Craver all kinds of business, even though I still don't want to get into a plane if he's going to be the pilot. But he did do a pretty good job of picking winners and losers last week, and Steve specifically did a great job calling defensive formations, and your kids responded very well, posting that shutout in the win over Ponca City.
Well, I appreciate the apology, and it's accepted, so we can move on, Bill. But no, in all actuality, very proud of the defensive coaching staff. I think we did a pretty good job of communicating throughout the game and making adjustments where adjustments needed to be made. And so very proud of the players going out there and executing that game plan. So very, very pleased.
Talk to me about how you put together a defensive. And I know you got a defensive guru right here with us who brought you in here to be the DC. But how you go about putting together a defense that last year was picked apart on the ground and through the air. This year, you've been picking all the prizes.
I think as we go into year two, us being a new coaching staff last year, I think you're just for familiarity. I think the coaches are really taking control on what they can control, and the players are starting to understand what's expected of them. And it's been really, really fun for us to just, break it down to size, whether it be the run game, going over the pros and cons of the run game as well as the pass game, and making sure that it marries up together so that we can go out there and play the best we can.
But, Travis, as you've said this over and over again, good players or great players make real good coaches.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that, and Steve knows that. And our job is he's mentioned, is just put him in the right place. And so he's done a wonderful job with that. And, again, like you mentioned with his other staff. And so it's a great deal. And I always get the opportunity to kind of critique these guys a little bit when we're on the air a little bit, and it's always going to be positive on the air. But,
he want to hear the real story? Come on to the locker room
Come on out to the
Sundays.
locker room on Sundays. You love it. But, no, his voice, his demand. And as I said before, I think we talked about it last time we had Steve on board, called up some of the people that have known Steve for a long time, and just, it's what you always do whenever you're getting ready to hire somebody, just finalize the deal. And all of them said he will make every player, Coach Hill, accountable. He'll make them accountable, and that's all I needed to hear because, we talk about schemes. That's good, but like you said, it's making them accountable, putting them in the right place, and then players doing what they're expected to do.
How does Steve Craver define accountability, and how do you relate that importance over to players that obviously have embraced that demand?
I think us as coaches, we identify those guys that want to be accountable. I think it starts there first. It's hard to help people when they don't want to help themselves. And so when we identify those guys, we would like to try to put them in a position to succeed. Talked about it, whether it be on the field or off the field, and they just kind of take off with it. And so if we can continue to, stay on the gas, if you will, always, checking up on them, always making sure that they stay focused and realize the task at hand. I think that plays into accountability.
Now, it's obvious that the message was well delivered last Friday night in the preparation against Ponca City. You take a look at I mean, Travion Houston had 11 tackles. Brandon Talbert had 9 stops and 2 combined for 3 sacks. Parker Pellett, what a game he had. He had a couple of sacks, 4 tackles on the night. Big Vernon had the pass deflection. He got 6 tackles, and he deflects the ball over to Anthony Watson on the pick 6, who also had 7 tackles. I mean, and then Aiden Kemp had a couple of INTs themselves. It wasn't 1, it was 11 playing as 1.
Absolutely. It's always fun and encouraging to coach the defense where all 3 levels are making plays and making the plays that they should make. And so as we analyzed that game the next day, it was hard to find mistakes. But, again, even with playing the game that we played and coming up with that goose eggs, there was still some coaching points that needed to be addressed. And so as we move deeper in the playoffs, we hope that we can cover up those deficiencies while staying on top of the things that we do well.
Now, this week, though, Travis and Steve, I know you agree with me, it's an entirely different opponent, a different style opponent. I mean, there's no doubt about the Jackets can move the ball through the air with Steele Wassel, and they can put it to the hands of Latrell Ray, and he can motor up and down the field.
Yep. Get after it, Steve.
Absolutely. I mean, this quarterback is very, very talented. He reminds me, he plays like Brett Favre. I mean, for every mistake that he makes, he's going to try to make 2 or 3 plays. And so we got to be disciplined, vertically sound. We got to keep him corralled in the pocket. We can't let him freelance. We can't let him get out there and get comfortable. We got to always make sure that he's uncomfortable. That way we can move him off that island and we can create some of those turnovers and get some of those sacks.
In our weekly countdown to kickoff each week, I visit with Steve about the defensive game plan, and without fail, he says, be the most physical team on the football field. And I think that's been evident all of the preceding 11 games, and it has to be that way Friday night against Choctaw.
Oh, yeah, we have to get up there and establish the line of scrimmage. We got to stop the run. That is the biggest thing that we harp on with our defense. If we can get them one-dimensional, get them in some passing situations, I think now we can be creative. Now we can kind of create takeaways off of that. And so it's going to be a big challenge to our defensive line. It's going to be a big challenge to our linebackers, and also going to be a big challenge to our DBs of getting lined up to all the different formations that they show you. But even with those different formations that they do show us, they run the same thing. And so we just got to get our eyes in the right place, read our keys, and make sure that we execute the defense.
Yep. And I think, Travis, you'll agree with me, too. This year's defensive unit has developed some depth. And we got a guy here tonight that's been a part of that, too. And we'll be talking to Caleb Houston here in just a little bit. But everybody has to do their job, whether you're the 2 or the 1 or you're the 3, ready to go to number 2, or maybe in some cases even pushed up to number 1. I mean, you never know when coach is going to call your name.
That's part of the pregame meeting that we have. It's something I call sideline etiquette. We're still working on that, but we want those guys, those backup guys, those guys that come up in different packages to be close to us, be involved in the game, because you're one play away. And depending on where you're at in that game, it could be a pressure situation. So you always got to stay locked in. You always got to keep your body ready, whether you're a starter, whether you're a 2 or a 3.
Now, I'm not going to ask you who you picked to win the games there that we're looking at in the high school football playoffs, but who's your pick for Friday night at Ada?
Oh, man, it's going to be the Muskogee Roughers.
I didn't expect anything different.
I got to go with the Muskogee Roughers, and if we win by 1, I'll take that. So I'd pick the spread to be 1.
Pick the spread to be 1, or 1 or 100, doesn't matter. It's all when it's said and done. It's a rougher win, Coach,
Absolutely.
And that's what you're playing for.
Nope, absolutely, and he's got it nailed down. And so let's go out there, and like I said, it is Tuesday, if I'm correct, right?
It is still Tuesday.
Can't wait until Friday, and let's go have some fun between now and then with Thanksgiving, but we're looking forward to it.
We're going to take our next time out, and when we come back, we'll talk with one of the guys that's been an integral part of the overall success of this football team. His name is Caleb Houston, who wears number 66 from the Muskogee Roughers. We'll talk with Caleb and Coach Hill when we come back after this timeout on Live from Runts BBQ at 3003 West Oakmulgee Avenue in Muskogee.
Runts BBQ serves up hand-rubbed, slow-cooked goodness. Anytime you're feeding a few hundred, hey, we're just tailgating with friends. Call the experts, Runts BBQ. Ribs, brisket, burnt ends, mouth-watering hot link, and smoked chicken, where everything is made from scratch, from the barbecue sauce to the banana pudding. Give us a try, and you won't be disappointed. Runts BBQ, 918-681-3900. Runts BBQ, slow-cooked goodness in Muskogee.
I'm I'm Kyle Edwards for Kyle Edwards Buick GMC in Muskogee and the all-new Kyle Edwards Auto Group in Shakota. With the addition of Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram in Shakota and Buick GMC in Muskogee, it now gives our customers a great lineup of new makes and models to choose from. We are very proud to bring you a buying experience you won't find anywhere else. If you haven't visited us yet, come give us a chance. You'll like what you see. Family-owned, customer-friendly, Kyle Edwards Buick GMC in Muskogee and Kyle Edwards Auto Group in Shakota.
Your injury recovery goals, plus Excel Therapy's expertise, are your winning game plan. At Excel, our #1 goal is to get you back to peak performance as quickly as possible. Our physical therapy and sports medicine professionals will take you from setback to comeback.
Excel Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. With 16 locations and no physician referral required, you can begin healing today. Excel Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. Look for us online at exceltherapyok.com.
In sports, having the right winning strategy is often the difference between winning and losing. The same is true when you need legal representation. For more than 15 years, the law offices of Michael A. Finnerty have successfully provided the winning strategy with excellence and integrity for the people of the Muskogee area in matters of personal injury, social security disability, and workers' compensation issues. The law office, Muskogee trusts Michael A. Finnerty, ready to develop a winning strategy. Michael A. Finnerty, 436 Court Street in Muskogee. Call 687-1155. Online at finnertylaw.com.
Welcome back to Runts BBQ, the home of a little better barbecue. It's a great place to be picking up those holiday desserts such as the homemade pies and coconut pie, chocolate cream pie. I mean, if you want it, you need to get it ordered tomorrow early so that you can get by here and pick it up and have it for Thanksgiving Day if there's any left to be handed out. But certainly it's a great place to eat any time of the week, and we do a pretty good job of feeding our faces.
No, we do. Nobody walks out of here hungry, that's for sure.
If they do, it's their own fault.
Absolutely.
Now, a guy that I know has a pretty good idea of how to eat is our next guest in there in this segment. He wears number 66 from the Muskogee Roughers, a guy that has seen action on both sides of the line as a defensive lineman at nose guard, and now he's over on the offensive side at guard, Caleb Houston. Caleb, we were talking prior to the show, which side of the football do you prefer to play?
I really don't have a preference. I really like to play whatever helps us win the game.
Well, obviously you've had your chances on defense, and because of injuries and such other opportunities, you've been given a chance now to move over to that offensive guard spot. How much does having played defense help you know what to expect when you're at that offensive guard position?
It helps quite a bit if I can understand what moves are going to work and how they're going to get by me.
Coach, I mean, here's a young man that has just gotten not only bigger, I mean, 6'2", 300-pound junior, but it's not just the weight. It's the physical development, the muscle atonement, and the ability to improve his foot speed and his agility overall.
Real simple. We do not have enough time on this show to tell you where he did and how he's gone about his business. He wrestled last year. We identified when he's doing cartwheels at 6'2", 300 across the wrestling mat, and just the nimbleness of his body. He's really worked hard, and like I said, every once when you get lucky, you find one, so to speak.
Right.
We found one, Bill.
That's that diamond in the rough you're always looking for.
We got one.
Caleb, Coach talked about wrestling. How much does the physical demands and the mental demands of as being a wrestler help you play football?
It helps me with the conditioning and my hand speed.
Now, Coach also talked about that cartwheel. Tell me what was going on that night when you did the cartwheel out there on the mat.
When we warm up in wrestling, we do cartwheels, round-offs. You think of it, we probably do it.
Now, I realize there has to be communication between the linemen when you get up there. I mean, you're hearing calls and stuff. But how much communication goes, or maybe just how much trash talking goes on up there in the front line when you're putting that opposing defensive lineman on his back and smearing the butter on top of a pancake?
Really don't like to talk when I play. I just like to play.
He doesn't like to talk much, Coach. His answers are very short and sweet.
Short, sweet. Good answers, but short and sweet. Yep.
You bet. Now, what's the toughest thing for you as that offensive guard to get yourself in the right spot on a running play?
On a running play? Mm-hmm. Probably just pushing the nose guard because he's a big boy.
Now, how about on pass protection?
Pass pro, probably watching the linebackers.
Now, you also have to realize that certain times, though, it's important for the lineman to be able, after the pass is gone, to get downfield and help those extra blocks, because these wide receivers and guys coming out of the backfield, they're not afraid to cut it back up underneath. When you can pick up somebody coming across there and boom, all of a sudden somebody's looking up saying, what truck hit me? Oh, yeah, that was 66, Caleb Houston. Talk to me about that.
I like when we pass play, short like bubbles. I like going out and just hitting the small people because they usually fall.
Catch the unexpected and leave no doubt. Now, let's take it to the classroom. What is your favorite subject out at Muskogee High School?
Chemistry.
Chemistry, why?
No idea. I've always didn't like math, but I like chemistry.
Anything particular about the field of science that kind of flips your switch of enjoyment?
Not really. I just like the teacher.
Okay. Well, that's
Who is the teacher?
Mitch Brosset.
Okay.
All right. So score a brownie point for Caleb Houston. He's mentioned his favorite teacher.
He went from an 88 to a 92, just right there. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I ask you of our players each and every week to talk to me about that one teammate that either in the locker room or out on the practice field that can kind of get into your kitchen, can kind of get your motor revved a little bit higher. Now, sometimes it's in frustration and you're mad, and then sometimes it's just the good camaraderie between teammates. Who's that one teammate for you that can take Caleb Houston to a higher level of performance?
Parker Pellet.
Why is that Parker Pellet, not Pellet, but Parker Pellet can do that for you?
Because he always goes hard. He never gives me an easy rep.
Coach, and that's the type of team camaraderie that I think has made this football team, both offensively and defensively, as one group.
No, it is, and there's days where we got to push them to be able to be more competitive against each other in some of our settings, some of our team practices. But no, Caleb understands that and expects that, and when he flips around and gives us a look, or should I say gives the offense a look, even though they're starting offensive guard at nose guard, he does the same thing. He'll go hard.
Film study. How much time do you spend on the computer on looking at the opponent, and what are you looking for when you look at, so let's say it's the film on Choctaw last week against Punk City? What things are you watching for from that opposing defensive group?
When I usually watch film, when I get done with my schoolwork, I watch film all the time. I usually watch the linemen's feet and their blitzes from the linebackers.
Okay, talk about your relationship with the offensive line coaches, because they kind of bring it too, don't they?
Yeah.
Tell me what's made this year special for all you guys up in the trench.
We all have a connection. Like the other Friday, we hang out with Braden Henry.
So, I mean, it really is become kind of an all-for-one, one-for-all in the atmosphere.
It has to be that way, Bill. You know that without me telling you.
Right.
You know, you develop physical talents, okay, and bigger, faster, stronger. But a great team, that's the reason why every year your team's different, because the chemistry changes.
Right.
And probably one of the most unique things about a great football team is the brotherhood, camaraderie, all the words that you can use there. They like being around each other, okay? Doesn't mean that they're all best friends necessarily, but they respect and like being around each other. And I think, especially offensive linemen, that group, and most good groups of offensive linemen, they enjoy each other's company. And I always say that is one of five that was always one. That's five people all wrapped up in one because of the communication and things they need to do. And that's the way offensive linemen work.
Well, it's interesting to see how this group has all gone together and all gotten stronger and faster, but stronger as a group. And it's ironic, Caleb, that you would choose chemistry as your favorite subject, because that's truly a success of this offensive line. Glad to have you. Hey, what was on your plate?
Chicken strips.
And I don't think there's much left, is there? Maybe a little bit of the crust?
Just a little bit.
All right.
Bill, what I can say is when he came in, he hadn't looked at the menu yet, but when she asked, bam.
He knew
exactly what he wanted. He had it down, name, pat, and everything. Yes.
He came here ready to get his belly full, and he'll look for a little bit of more opportunity on Friday night when the Ruffers take on the Choctaw Yellow Jackets. We'll talk with Coach Hill about Friday night state semifinal matchup for the first time since 2016, Friday night at Ada. We'll do that after this timeout. We're live from Runts BBQ on the Tuesday night Muskogee Ruffer Football Coaches Show.
There's never been a better time to find a great deal on a sedan, truck, or crossover at Nissan of Muskogee. Call 918-683-6605 or go to nissanofmuskogee.com. There's never been a better time to find a great deal on a sedan, truck, or crossover at Nissan of Muskogee. Call 918-683-6605 or go to nissanofmuskogee.com.
Tradition. It's a word that means a lot. Just as the tradition of the Muskogee Roughers requires commitment of great players and coaches, Lesher Millsap Funeral Home takes pride in providing great value and commitment every day with a tradition of service to the families of the Muskogee area. Just like in football, tradition must be earned on every play, every day, not just in the final score. And that's why you can trust Lesher Millsap Funeral Home to be there for you when it counts the most. Lesher Millsap Funeral Home, proud to be part of the Muskogee tradition of excellence.
It's a time when uncertainty spreads faster than understanding. It's also a time when taking steps to prepare can help us all find a sense of security. At ServPro, helping our nation's homes, businesses, and shared spaces be more clean, be more safe, is why we're here. Here in your community, here to help.
The Muskogee Athletic Department and Executive Director Dr. Jason Parker would like to say thank you to this year's 2022-23 Super Sponsors for your year-long commitment to supporting Rougher Athletics. The Spring Skilled Nursing and Therapy, Armstrong Bank, Oklahoma Army National Guard, Chick-fil-A Muskogee, Tommy Nix Auto Group, and St. Francis Health Systems Muskogee. Together, these sponsors help win every day the Muskogee way. Go Roughers! Welcome back to Runts BBQ, the site for the Muskogee Rougher Tuesday night football coaches show, live from Runts BBQ at 3003 West Hobogie Avenue, and its partners like Russell Pratt and the team here at Runts that help make Muskogee Rougher football be able to do what they do. Coach, we've got so many community partners, team members, you want to call them. I don't want to call them little Roughers. I'm going to call them big-time Roughers.
No, these are the big-time Roughers. These are the guys that help run the show, and Russ is as big and helpful as anybody in our community. So it's great to have the opportunity to come over here every Tuesday night and enjoy some great food, and I mean some great food. This has been how many weeks?
Well, we're working.
Let's just say 12 or 13. It's been a lot. Well, I ain't bored with it yet, and I want a couple more, so let's go win.
Absolutely. We need at least one more for sure. That's coming up next week.
Good stuff.
With an opportunity. Now, speaking of that opportunity, when you started the first of the season, you were looking to get win number one, then number two. Then let's just get through the first 3 weeks, and we'll go to number 4 and take each district game as it comes. Now you're down to every game is winner take all.
Playoffs. That's what puts a different taste in it. And so you don't have that opportunity to, from a standpoint as a player, you've got to really be able to digest this and realize that all year long you were playing through the process and learning, so that whenever you get to the point where you've earned and deserve to be, that you are prepped and primed not to make those mistakes and not to make those type of bad plays, so you don't have to go home. And the sad thing about that is, Bill, there's only going to come out one winner.
Right.
Our kids have done that, and I think they're ready to go play a great football game.
Now, ironically, too, you're playing on Thanksgiving week, which every football team and player wants to practice on Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
But that also changes the weekly schedule, because most of the schools now take the entire Thanksgiving week off from the normal classroom schedule. But it's ironic interesting to me how you and members of your staff have managed to maintain a consistent and a continual connection with these players, and you've encouraged them not to fall into the sleep till noon environment.
Exactly. I mean, there's just some simple communications we've done, and between me and you and our fans out here, I don't know that our kids are doing everything when we're not with them. But let me give you 2 things that we've talked about: is get up at 8 o'clock every morning and go in, get you something in your stomach, and drink a big glass of water. If you choose to go back to bed, great, but get up every morning at least at 8. Maybe 15 minutes, go back to sleep, but get up.
I mean, let's be truthful. I can get up at 8 o'clock, and by 9:30 I can sit down and be quiet for about 2 minutes and be back asleep.
I agree. I did
think
that.
we all could.
I did that this morning.
Okay, good enough.
So, simply put, and then, our practice schedules are going to stay on the same routine, and then we're playing, and I say that a little game, it's just something unique that every evening at 7 p.m. They're supposed to turn on their alarm, and when the alarm goes off, you understand what's going on Friday at 7 p.m., but that alarm goes off, and the idea is that's what comes to mind, so your team comes to mind, correct?
Right.
So even though we're not together, but yet we are. And, then it was encouraged to call at least one teammate whenever that alarm goes off, too. So just little things that seem kind of funny, but we talked about chemistry, and we talked about how close-knit these guys are. that's what we're trying to do, is continue that process of just making that a fun thing and something unique to be a part of.
Well, here that alarm's going to go off in about 5 minutes, so I'm quickly going to let Coach give us his thoughts on the Yellow Jackets of head coach Jake Corbett. Speaking of knowing what you're going to get, you know what they're going to do offensively, you know what they're going to do defensively, and they are going to bring intensity.
Yeah, they will. That's their style, and Jake, since he's been over there, has done a good job. Coach Corbin, he's has been at some good programs, and if I'm correct with my timing, he left Dale City as the head coach and went over to Choctaw, and has created a very winning atmosphere over there. Since he's been there, they've been a playoff team, and not just a playoff team, but a team that's has a chance to win it each year. So we're excited about playing them, Bill. Yeah.
2019, they were in the semifinals. 2020, where they were in the state championship game, 8-3 a year ago. Now they are just like the Ruffers at 10-1. A standout quarterback, a very strong running back that's got some pretty good wheels, a group of receivers. It's a mirror-like but different approach, the two offenses, Muskogee and Choctaw, but then there's also some similarities in the aggressive nature of the defense. These two teams mirror each other a whole lot.
As you mentioned, I don't go over the whole stats of a year.
Sure, that's me.
That's what you get paid for and do a great job with. But as you mentioned, those – it doesn't surprise me. I mean, they're an explosive offensive football team because they're kind of like us. They don't got more than – they got 4 or 5 weapons, not 1 or 2. And defensively, they're very aggressive and come after you, and I like to think that that's kind of our style too. There's some differences too, obviously, as far as just schematically, but the whole idea is I think they're being coached very similar about what they're trying. Expectations are, the demands, the accountability that we talked with Steve later, and the idea how we're going to go about it.
They call it the gold standard at Choctaw. The Ruffers have their own standard of expectation for Friday night. So, from a coaching perspective, you can talk about an offensive play, an offensive formation, a defensive scheme. All comes down, though, to the little bitty things that make the difference on the final scoreboard.
That's right. The tougher the opponent, the more those little bitty things come into play. So, as we said, in our bye week, we cleaned up a few things. Obviously, so we got back into play. There's some things the other night, like I said, if anybody watched the game, there's some things there we got to work on to make sure, and we made the few adjustments that we need to. But as a whole, we also, those things that we did work on that we mentioned prior to that, we got a whole lot better in, and now it's time to put it all together.
That'll be Friday night at Ada at East Central University's Coy-Ishto Stadium, 7 o'clock kickoff. If you just can't for some reason find a way to fill up the tank and get in the car and make the drive to Ada, it's really a simple drive. I-40 to 99 straight south into Ada, about 30, 40 miles, and it'll be real easy to find the stadium and be there to be loud and proud for the Muskogee Ruffers. If for some reason you can, of course, you can follow it on live stream at youtube.com/RufferTV as well as on Okie Country 1017. For head coach Travis Hill, for the picker of the week, Steve Craver, and for the big fella that loves his chemistry and his chicken strips, Caleb Houston, I'm Bill Huddleston saying so long tonight and happy Thanksgiving, everybody, from Runts BBQ at 3003 West Okmulgee Avenue in Muskogee. And as always, it's a great day to be a Ruffer. See you Friday in Ada.